Hi, Indiana fans. It's been a while. Sleepers Media here. Greg, Carter, your friends, and love us. I promise we haven't been trying to duck you. We just essentially took all of last week off for holiday spirit reasons. And then Indiana decided to have their most, I would say, relevant performance of the year. Like anytime you hang 100 on a team and your offense looks totally fixed without your best player, that's pretty relevant. We did not intend to not talk about you. You were on our list of teams to do previews and recaps for, but both times we did previews and recaps last week, it turned into like 3.5 hours of work, and you were last on the list. So sorry, you got cut. But here we are now to preview your game this week on the road against Nebraska, a Nebraska team that I think is a lot better than people realize at a national level. Your Michigan State Spartans went into Lincoln and suffered a loss there. They have been really good for most of the season. I mean, they went on the road and smacked Kansas State a couple weeks ago. Different team without Rank Mast, who is their do-it-all center, who is out for at least a month right now. Not a good thing for Nebraska's front court when they have to face a really good Indiana front court. So let's throw it to you. Take this wherever you want to go, because I know a lot of people were pointing fingers at where's Carter Elliott when Indiana hung 100 points on Kennesaw State without kel'el Ware.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have the opportunity to record a video when you're dropping 100 on Kennesaw State, you got to take the opportunity to mention that you dropped 100 on Kennesaw State. But I mean, truly impressive performance without their best player. Um, to take my small victory lap, how good did Malik Renault look in that game when it wasn't, with kel'el Ware? I'm just throwing that out there. He did have a legendary game. But looking forward to this Nebraska game, it's I think that things are playing out in their favor because it's hard to go into Lincoln and win at Nebraska. We know that. We saw last year, we were there in the building when Purdue had to use overtime to beat the fighting, Sam Hoibergs and the crew. So it's not an easy place to go into and win. And the Cornhuskers not having Rink Mass is going to be a massive hit going up against a front court that is as good and as talented as Indiana. But I am interested to see if this offense that they played against Kennesaw State is something that can go on the road and travel, and especially travel playing, like getting a win on the road in the Big Ten, because it's very tough to do no matter who the opponent.
How much do you think the Renault and Mbako performances were real in this game? Because both were, I think, the best they've been all season. Renault, 34 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Mbako started the game, I think, 3 for 3 from three. He had like 10 points immediately early in the game. He only played 14 minutes in this game, and he had 14 points. So for me to say best performance of the season, in limited minutes. That's the big caveat. But like I saw more from Mbako in those minutes than I feel like I've seen from him in the entire non-conference combined, specifically shooting from outside. I mean, he had 33% of Indiana shot attempts from three, made 4 of 5 from three. How much of that do you think is real versus just like a total fluke?
No, I think it's real for sure. And I think those guys have the ability to do that. But I think what you saw in this game is maybe in a better fit scenario. Like just having the two bigs out. Like maybe this just works a little bit better than kind of the clunky front court that they got going on. But I do think it's something that is sustained. Like I think Renault and these guys are capable of these performances. I just don't know if one, they can find consistency in those type of performances, or two, if the way the team fits and the personnel, gives them the opportunity to have those type of performances.
So do you still believe kel'el Ware is the best player on Indiana?
Yes.
Because I think Renault had a better game than Ware has had this season without Ware.
I mean, you know how I feel about Malik Renault, whatever. I know people really get on us in the comments about that, but I think it's Renew. Um, I still think that kel'el Ware is the best player on Indiana. I don't think you can throw away what he's done consistently offensively and also defensively, how he's affected the game.
Okay. I think that's fair. I just don't know what you do because like Renault is never going to look like, I'm going to keep calling him Renault. I know it's Renew. I'm calling him Renault. Renault is never going to look this good next to Ware, ever. Like, I want to make that so clear. Like, clip this, make me look stupid, Assembly Hall, if this happens. Like, he's never going to look this good. He will literally never, ever, 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 ever look as good as he did against Kennesaw State if he has to play the 4 next to Kel'el Ware or the 5 next to Kel'el Ware. I know they're interchangeable. It's just not going to happen. And I don't know what you should want anymore. Kel'el Ware is incredible. If Kel'el Ware's out by the end of the season, like if Kel'el Ware's headed to the NBA, as a lot of people think he is, like, what are we doing? Right. And I don't mean to say, like, let's just bench Kel'el Ware, let's move on. But, like, I think Renew's a 4-year guy. I think that's who he is in Indiana. I don't think there's like a world where he goes to the NBA and he could end up being like an All-American big by the time he's done. If the indication of what he looked like when the front court was just his is any sign of what's to come in 2 years from now, like, he's a monster. And I wouldn't want to have that guy play in a clunky fit next to a guy who's not going to be here 3 months from now on a team that hasn't looked good with that combination of guys. So, like, I don't know what you do if you're Woodson. I think you welcome Ware back with open arms, but it's just it's kind of, I didn't think Renew was capable of this without Ware or on any basketball court in any setting. So to see it has me rethinking everything about what they're doing, what they're trying to do in the front court. It's crazy. Another good Trey Galloway game against Kennesaw. We've given him credit. You've given him a lot of credit on the show as like a guy going forward, and we just applaud him for what he's done without Xavier Johnson. How much do Nebraska guards scare you? I feel like that's the one thing they kind of lack, is like they don't really have a great point guard that will be a tough matchup for Galloway. Do you think Galloway can hold up against like Bryce Williams and Kisei?
I do think he can hold up against them, but also at the same time, it's something about those Nebraska guards and wings, especially when they play in Lincoln. I believe, is it the Prudential Center? Maybe someone has to fact check me on that.
We'll do a quick
Uh,
fact check.
no, it's Pinnacle Bank. I think it is
Pinnacle
actually.
Bank.
Yeah, Pinnacle Bank. When the Cornhuskers play there, they seem to have a little bit of more of a pep to their step. I'm more so concerned about the other guards and wings going up against Nebraska guards and wings because, you know, Kisei is the one who gets all the accolades, the name. When you think, Cornhuskers, Kisei is the one that comes to mind first. Bryce Williams has played really good this year. And they have other guys who have played good. Marcus Lawrence has played good this year. Even they got, contributions from guys like Juwan Gary as well. I just think that this team has a lot more talent than people give them credit for, even with the loss of guys like Derek Walker and Griesel. So I think it's still safe to say that I think, yeah, I think feel good in saying the Huskers have the better guard wings in this game still.
Yeah, I don't know that we're gonna have a game in Big Ten play where we say Indiana has the better guards than anybody.
Even with Xavier Johnson back?
I don't know. I gotta see it. I gotta see it, right? I think like Minnesota isn't great, but like I like Minnesota's guards a lot more than I like Indiana's guards. So we'll see. How much does Pinnacle Bank scare you? You and I went there last year and we saw Purdue, who was the #1 team in the country at the time, taken to overtime against a Nebraska team last year that was worse than this year's version. Does Pinnacle Bank scare you like 1 to 10, an 8? Like, where are you at on that scale?
There's something very scary about a place that hands out cake pops at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a scary place. And I don't know why, because to me, it doesn't even rock like that. At least the game we went to, like it wasn't like just packed to the brim and like, crazy environment, but it's just something about it. There's like an aura around Lincoln when you enter there. It's tough.
Yeah, it's just some voodoo there. Like,
Yeah.
I think that applies to almost all Big Ten home arenas minus Penn State. Like, nobody cares. But like outside of Penn State,
Chrysler too.
and Chrysler, yeah, there's no voodoo whatsoever at Chrysler. It's just is Michigan good or not? Decides if Chrysler's tough. Indiana, I think has their hands full here. 1, because it's a road game. 2, because there's health questions everywhere. 3, Nebraska's defense is elite at guarding the 3-point line. They're very, very, very good there. 15th in the country. Teams shoot 28% from 3 against them. This is one of the only games all season Indiana will play a defense that is actually holding opponents to a worse shooting percentage from 3 than Indiana already shoots from 3. So I think like they're going to have to get everything at the rim. But coincidentally, Nebraska's defense also pretty good at the rim, 21st in the country at 2-point percentage defense. So like, not a great matchup even without Mast. You're gonna need a generational Renault game, which could happen. But I think I'm
But
hitting
it, but
rough
it,
over
it,
this.
it, it, it can't happen if Ware's there.
Right. Are we sure? Is Ware coming back?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you,
Yeah. Let me give that a quick search.
because that will be massive to know.
Last
I
I
will say,
heard, it
I
was
will say this: if Indiana does win this game, this will be their best win of the year.
yeah, it was out to COVID, and I haven't seen any updates. So it seems like a toss up on whether or not he would return for this one. Do you like Indiana's chances more or less with Ware?
I like their chances less with Ware, I think.
Mm, fascinating.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's do the prediction. Who do you got winning this game?
I got Nebraska winning this game by 4.
I'll take Nebraska by 1 on a buzzer beater from feels like a role player buzzer beater to me. Like
Sam Hoiberg.
no, a CJ Wilcher buzzer beater.
Oh God, that'd be. I'll be on the recap if that was happening.
Be
If you get
painful.
CJ Wilchard, that's tough.
Be painful. Candy stripes against cake pops. Tough matchup.
What a battle.